And welcome back to another episode of Play Action Fantasy Football. Cameron here again. We already had the wide receiver video drop earlier today, so go back and look at that if you haven't watched it. Again, like, subscribe. We really appreciate it if you can help us out there. We want to try to help you the best we can in getting fantasy football championships between me and Jonathan. We both have had multiple championships, and it's actually been a good run for me. I won 2 out of my 4 leagues last year. But again, make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you turn on notifications so you get the video drops when they drop. Again, we drop 2 videos between Tuesday and Thursday, get you ready for Thursday night football all the way to Monday night. And again, wide receiver video drops, so why don't we jump into the quarterback rankings. Number 1, we got Patrick Mahomes versus the Bears, and Patrick Mahomes finally gets Kelsey back, and with Kelsey in that lineup, it definitely looked like Kansas City was clicking a little bit better than week 1. So Mahomes is going to be number 1 for me in this matchup for week 1. Number 2 is going to be Justin Herbert at the Vikings. Vikings have struggled. Now they are 0-2. They have lost to Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield, and Justin Herbert has been doing nothing but slinging the ball. So in week 2, I like Justin Herbert as my number 2 in the rankings. Number 3 is going to be Josh Allen. Again, another guy with a bounce-back game. This is going to be at the Commanders. Now, it's a little bit tough for them to play in Washington. They do sometimes struggle from time to time. But after what you've seen from Josh Allen in week 2, I expect the same in week 3. It doesn't always happen that way, and that's why we're here. I view it, and I get to see where I was right and wrong in these videos as well. But as of right now, Josh Allen for me is a number 3 in week 3. Number 4 is going to be Jalen Hurts at the Buccaneers. A great matchup for them. I do like Jalen Hurts in this situation after putting 35 on the Vikings in week 2. And after a week 1 win against the Patriots, nothing special. I do like this matchup against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are kind of in the same, I would say not the same, maybe more in the middle with defensive rating. I'd say that it's kind of in between the Patriots defense and the Vikings defense. They're kind of the middle of the pack between their 3 opponents so far. And that's going to be a good matchup for Jalen Hurts considering that he's put up good numbers in week 2. A little shaky week 1, but hey, a lot of quarterbacks had a shaky week 1. Number 5 is going to be Trevor Lawrence versus the Texans. Not the best performance. He let me down in actually 2 of my leagues. However, Trevor Lawrence versus the Texans at home, that's a matchup I really like going into week 3, and he will be more than likely a start, so make sure you look out for those start-sit videos coming out on Thursday. Number 6 is going to be Lamar Jackson in a really good game against the Bengals. The Bengals have been struggling a lot in the first 2 weeks. A lot of weaknesses, but Lamar Jackson has been doing nothing but playing really well from week 1 and week 2, and I expect that to continue in week 3 against the Colts. Number 7 is going to be Tua Tagovailoa versus the Broncos. Tua is just firing on all cylinders. A win against the Chargers in LA, now a win on the road against the Patriots, and now they get to go home against the Broncos, who are 0-2 to start the season. This is a great matchup, and that Heat versus that Heat in Mile High City, it's a totally different thing in Miami, and that's why I like 2 on week 7. Number 8 is going to be Kirk Cousins for me versus the Chargers. Like I said, even though they lost to the Buccaneers and the Eagles, the Chargers have not been good on defense either, and Kirk Cousins just balled out on week 2. And I can see that happening again in week 3 with the defense that they're going up against. So look for Kirk Cousins at home to have a really good game against the Chargers. So that's why he's number 8. Number 9 is going to be Dak Prescott for me at the Cardinals. They did really well in their first 2 matchups as well with their opponents. They get to go to the Cardinals now, who just blew a game to the Giants, who got swamped. They got smacked, actually, by the Cowboys in week 1 with a 40-0 loss. Then the Cardinals lose to the Giants on a comeback. This is looking like Cowboys are going to probably run away with this one as well. And they might be legit this year. Now, I know they say that every year, but we'll see what actually happens. It definitely feels that way right now. But Dak Prescott's going to be number 9 for me. Number 10 is going to be Brock Purdy, another great matchup for him. 2 good wins on the road for the 49ers, and now they get to go home against the Giants. A great matchup for Brock Purdy and the 49ers. How about number 11? Let's go to Jared Goff versus the Falcons. He definitely looked good in the first 2 weeks. Again, these are quarterbacks that have just been doing well all together. And Jared Goff is doing kind of what he did almost in his Super Bowl year with the Rams. He's definitely been improving with the Lions offense, and that can continue in week 3 with the Falcons. Number 12 is going to be Deshaun Watson. He's going to have a good matchup here against the Titans. Titans defense is not that great going into week 3, and I expect that to be a really good matchup for Deshaun Watson to probably be able to sling the ball depending on the weather. Weather in week 1 in Cleveland was not the best, so we'll see what happens with that. But Deshaun Watson has a Monday night game, which is actually recorded on Monday night, and this will be his game against the Steelers, so we'll see how that plays out in a divisional rivalry game. Number 13 is going to be Matthew Stafford at the Bengals. And the Bengals, like I said, they've been struggling, and Matthew Stafford's been doing really well. They lost to the 49ers, but man, they were doing well. They were doing well. They held their own, and I expect that to be a really good matchup for Matthew Stafford at the Bengals in Week 3. Number 14 is going to be Geno Smith coming off a comeback win in overtime. Or actually, they actually blew the lead. They had to actually fight for that win. That wasn't a comeback. Excuse me on that one. But with a win against the Lions in Ford Field in Detroit versus the Panthers now in Seattle, that's going to be a good matchup for Geno Smith. He's number 14 for me. Number 15 for me is going to be Jordan Love versus the Saints. Packers at Lambeau Field is always a good matchup for any quarterback on the Packers. They love it. They just love Lambeau Field. Something about a quarterback in Lambeau, when you're wearing that green and yellow, that is a matchup made in heaven. Versus the Saints is going to be a little bit difficult. However, not as difficult as many people might think it seems. I've seen him as low as like 22 in rankings. I've seen him as high as, 17, 15, kind of where I'm at with him right now. So Jordan Love versus the Saints, a little heartbreak against Atlanta, but hey, that happens from time to time. Number 16 is going to be Joe Burrow versus the Rams. It's a home game for Joe Burrow, but the Rams defense has not been a pushover this whole entire year so far. Only gave up 13 points to the Seattle Seahawks, but then they gave up a good amount to the 49ers, but that's the 49ers, so I'm not really going to hold too much against the Rams defense in that one. The Bengals have been struggling, and Joe Burrow might not even play, so we'll see how that goes. Number 17 for me is going to be Baker Mayfield. He has been firing on all cylinders, and Bake has been baking. It just seems that way as of right now, and against the Eagles is a good matchup. The Eagles secondary has been a little banged up. Their defensive line's a little banged up. We'll see moving into Week 3 how well they get, but some of the injuries that seemed like they're going to be out for a couple weeks. Not too many, maybe like 2 or 3, but none to where these guys are going to have to go on IR and really hurt the Eagles defense. So Baker Mayfield for me is going to be number 17 in this matchup. Number 18 is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo versus the Steelers in Las Vegas. Is a great way for Jimmy Garoppolo to show, hey, this is why they brought me here. Let's go ahead and do this. After 2 road games, let's see what he's got at home. And the Steelers are struggling with their defense as well, with a couple injuries as well, just like the Eagles. Number 19 is going to be Sam Howell versus the Bills. Sam Howell is going to be a sneaky quarterback in this situation for me. He has been playing well enough to be a streaming quarterback or a matchup quarterback, depending on who you got. And the Bills' defense has not been the best. They have not been the best. They did a lot better against the Raiders. But again, Devontae Adams went out with a concussion protocol, so he was not able to come back into the game. So with that being said, the Bills' defense has been a little iffy here and there. So Sam Howell, number 19 for me. Number 20 is going to be Mac Jones at the Jets. Patriots have been able to hold their own for the most part, and I expect that to continue in Week 3. Number 21 is Russell Wilson at the Dolphins. A good matchup for Russell Wilson. Let's just see how that heat handles with him. I mean, he played in Seattle, now Denver. Not the best cities when it comes to the heat. Now you go to Miami on an 0-2 to start the season. It's a little rough, but he is number 21 for me in the quarterback rankings. Number 22 is Justin Fields at the Chiefs. Again, 0-2. He has not had his best play so far in the year. Let's see what happens in Week 3, but as of right now, he's going to be number 22 for me. Number 23 is Derek Carr at the Packers. Derek Carr is about to play here on Monday Night Football, like I said in the time of this recording. So going to Lambeau is not the best for me. He's going to be number 25 for me. Let's see what the Saints do on Monday night against the Panthers. I expect them to be able to cakewalk that, in my opinion. But going to Lambeau is a whole nother story. So let's see how that plays out. For me right now, he's number 23 in Week 3. Number 24 is going to be C.J. Stroud at Jacksonville. That's going to be an interesting matchup. I don't expect a whole lot from C.J. Stroud. However, he has been throwing for a decent amount of yards recently, and he's been connecting with Nico Collins right now. So let's see what it continues in Week 3. Moving on to number 25 to end this video is going to be Kenny Pickett at the Raiders. Again, Deontay Johnson is going to probably go to IR. He doesn't have a whole lot of weapons right now. He does have Najee Harris in the backfield, Jalen Warren. He got George Pickens and then Pat Freiermuth. But I don't expect much from Allen Robinson. I mean, those guys are decent players, but I don't think they're enough to where you're going to be able to just continuously score points with those guys. George Pickens, maybe. Freiermuth, if you're able to get close enough to the goal line, yes. But other than that, I don't expect much there. And that's going to do it for our quarterback rankings for Week 3. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow, like I said earlier in the video. And look out for the next 2 videos coming out tomorrow. Other than that, you guys have a good one. Hopefully you have the best of luck in Week 3.